where have you been ministering, and how is that changing now, right? And you'll tell us Togo, but my guess is a lot of people go, "Where's Togo?" So
Exactly.
tell us a little bit about that. Like, where have you been? Where are you now? And where can we find that on a globe?
Okay. You want me to start?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Vickie and I have been serving and living in Togo, West Africa, for the last 2.5 years. And Togo is a neighbor to the east of Ghana. Ghana is pretty well known. Ghana and Togo together are about centrally located east-west in West Africa. So we moved to Togo because we wanted to be part of the opening of Wesley Missionary Institute, which is a missionary training school for Africans. And we maybe a little later we might get to the background of how there have been a few delays in the opening of the school, but we continued there for that period of a little over 2 years, but reached a point in our own ministries and life position that we felt like we think it's time that we would like to relocate back to the U.S., make that our new home base, and continue with our work in Africa by way of trips. So our human plan was that we would make that change in August last year, but in March, we happened to be here for meetings, and we didn't go home in April like we planned, home to Togo. So we moved around to a couple of our daughters' homes, my mother's home, and we finally said, why don't we just accelerate that plan of finding a place for ourselves? And in June, we managed to get a hold of this house where we're seated today talking to you.
There you go. And where is that house located?
It's in Indianapolis on the southeast side of town.
All right. Excellent.
So can I give a little background even to that? Because like we have served in Africa since the first time we went over is in 1992. And we lived in Nigeria for about 7 years. Then came back to the US for a period of time and then went to Kenya in 2009. So from 2009 to 2017, we lived and worked in Kenya for so many years. And that's and a lot of my ministry now actually is still going on in Kenya. So when we talk about trips over, I may at some point also travel with Mike to Togo and West Africa, but the ministries that I'm still engaged in mostly are in East Africa and Kenya. So,
so you've made your home base in Indianapolis now, and have trips going over. What kind of ministry are you going to be engaging in, overseeing, partnering with in these trips?
One of the leading ministries that I continue to be involved with, even from here, like yesterday and today, is this Missionary Institute. Over a 4 or 5 year period, we had several countries in West Africa that are new to the Free Methodist Church open up for ministry. And so as that expansion took place, we discovered now that we have like what you might call a beachhead or a beginning point, we now see lots of other opportunities within each country, but we need workers, and not just pastors, though they're helpful, but we need workers who can go to a different tribe. Let me use the word tribe, but traditionally we would say cross-cultural worker. So in the African context, I don't hesitate to say this, I think Africans would back me up on it. It's very easy to be mostly oriented to your own tribe.
Sure.
That's who you most easily relate with. Even even us as North Americans, we easily relate to our own kind of people.
Yep.
So with some cross-cultural training, we believe we can equip people to better reach across a cultural barrier and enable the church within a given country to expand beyond its little cultural beginning.
Yeah.
So that's the school, and that's what we're working on starting. It is slated to open this month.
Okay.
In Togo. And our Togo country leader is also principal of the school. So he's the guy doing the work on the ground there, and there's another pastor working with him. We have a Nigerian who will come and do a little teaching for us there. Another fellow from the US is probably going to give us a couple days teaching on the end of another trip. So we aim to use a variety of teaching resource people. But that's a key ministry that I will continue to be involved with. My ministry as area director also involves supervision of country leaders for the development of the Free Methodist Church in that country.
Okay.
And on the one hand, I should certainly qualify myself out of the picture by saying it's Jesus who said, I will build my church.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think he chooses to use us in some parts of that process to get it going in a good direction and to ensure that there's a well-roundedness to the development of the church. And so that's what I attempt to do in my part.
So the ministry that I'm engaged in Kenya, really, it's all women, but two groups. I don't know, it's been since 2012, I think, that the national women wanted to develop something that would help them to have money. I mean, sometimes it's so difficult for them to find ways of supplementing their family income, and the moms are usually the ones who have to find money for kids to go to school, to buy food, things like that. So they started and invited me to be a part of it, but an organization called Tumaini Women Kenya, and Tumaini means hope in Swahili, so it's hope for women in Kenya. And basically, the main thing we do is help women save, and then based on their savings, they can take a loan out to supplement their business or to just help meet family needs. And it's been operating since 2012. We have over 500 women members of the church, actually women and men, because the men have caught on that, they can save money too, and they can take out loans. And the Kenya national government has a gender rule that whatever group you have, at least 30% you have to have at least 30% of the opposite gender enrolled in some way. So we have men in our groups, but that it helps them to, like, we've had women build a home for themselves or finish their education so then they could be employable. And I think they have saved by now it's probably over $70,000 of their own money. Wow. Now, there have been times that we have invested some money in helping the loans to continue. But it's amazing when they see what they've been able to do as a group. And that's money that is theirs. That's in their savings. And on top of that, then they're able to take loans. But it's been really exciting to see that happen. And it's been one of the things that I feel like for the women, it's a part of the church, and they feel like the church is really caring for them now. Sure. in a different kind of way. So I work with the Tumaini, but also while we were there, I was able to, in our local church, when we weren't traveling, we attended one church, and in that church, just had the opportunity to start a discipleship group with young women who were post high school and looking for either a job or trying to get into college, but the church really wasn't doing anything to meet their needs. And so we formed a group called Thrive because they didn't want to we decided we didn't want to just be mediocre.
Yeah.
And so it just started out as a discipleship group. But when Mike and I knew we were moving to Togo, we began to pray, Lord, what now? Because when I'm gone, they need a purpose to continue. And so they were able to get training in the area of gender-based violence and awareness of sex trafficking and how to avoid that. So since that time, they have actually developed into a group that they go out and do trainings, a lot of it with our own Free Methodist children in our schools, and helping they've started another discipleship group, and their goal is to provide a safe place for young women who find themselves in difficult situations. They are partnering with Set Free and with Seed. I don't know if you know those two organizations, but both Free Methodist, and in doing different types of projects and ministry in Kenya. And this year they're hoping to open up an office on the outskirts of Nairobi to help with a number of things.
So over these next 3 months, how can we in Ottumwa and in Fairfield be praying for the two of you and for what you're involved in? How can we partner with you in that way?
One of the things that's a little bit new is in our present health context in the world is traveling to Africa. You now have to get negative COVID tests and then get one on arrival and then get one before you come back. So it adds a few layers of complication.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we still have trips planned. Our area isn't closed to international visitors coming. So I am scheduled to travel this coming Sunday. Then I have a trip again planned in February and another one in March. So I would appreciate your prayers for the non-interruption of travel.
Yeah.
Just for it to be able to be pulled off.
Gotcha.
We both made a couple trips last year and it worked out. We actually had the first one, we were delayed a few days had to reschedule the start of it, but pray for us as we navigate the present conditions.
Excellent.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, both of the ministries in Kenya are also just learning and doing new things as well. And especially like Thrive. I mean, they are wanting to open an office. That's a big endeavor for them to do. And the church sees them a little bit as they're young women. They're one or two of them are married, but just this stepping out into leadership like this is a scary thing for them. And I would ask for prayer that for them specifically, the Lord will just give them the confidence that they'll continue to trust that He's opened those doors, and that the ministry that He has for them, that they'll grab a hold of that and not let it go. And I'm sure they will see amazing things. They are, I think often that they are doing the work of the church, really, by the things that they're doing in the community. And so they're young, and so I don't want them to lose confidence in that. And I don't know, I'm hoping to go again in May. Our daughter's getting married. She just got engaged, so we're kind of waiting on those details to get figured out to plan any more trips. But I'm hoping by May, latest June, to be able to go, because I like to go twice in a year. Yeah. And so I don't want it to be too long before I'm able to visit with them again.
Okay. So we talk a lot about being with Jesus, learning from Jesus, becoming like Jesus. And I probably stole that from Dallas Willard. Okay, because he stole it from someone else and they stole it from someone else. It's funny. You take it from one person, it's plagiarism. You take it from 100, it's research. So, but but we really try to encourage people to be in the presence of Jesus and intentionally learn from him. Otherwise, how are you going to become like him and show
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So for you guys in your own walk with Jesus, what is Jesus teaching you right now that you're most excited about? And it doesn't even have to relate to missions. Just what is Jesus teaching you?
Sure. Um, well, it sounds very simplistic, but really loving people. One part of our transition back to the States, George, was that when we moved back, I realized I'm in a new neighborhood, and really life has changed a lot. Culture has changed a lot since we lived in the States. And so it's like I still love missions. I know God put that on my heart, but now I live in a neighborhood in Indianapolis. What does that look like to be Jesus to this community? And so it is a lot of the things that I'm reading keep coming back to. You just got to learn to love people. I mean, that has to be it. And so how to make an impact in this neighborhood. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with Seedbed Daily Texts, JD Wall from Asbury, or I mean, I have followed his teaching, like they have a Wednesday fast and whatever. So that's been the focus of that so much in the seedbed, the sower's creed, and I mean, so that's just on my heart, which plays out in overseas, but right now this is where we're at, and so I'm like, okay, Lord, help me to know what it means to be a Christian, a believer, a follower of Jesus in this neighborhood, because now this is also my community and that's what I need to learn.
Right? How interesting that all the skills that you've been developing with Jesus over these years in Africa, he says, hey, guess what? You get to use them in Indianapolis now.
Exactly.
Uh,
And as missionaries, rightly or wrongly, sometimes there comes an automatic respect, not here. I mean, here, I have to earn my respect. So I can't just assume people are going to go, wow, you're a missionary? Sweet. Yeah. No, it's not. You got to figure out who these people are and how. And there's still that part of trusting the Lord to give the right word, the right opportunity, open the right door, and know that if my heart is right, whatever I say, he can use it to speak truth into that person's life. So that's great.
I think I would answer about this. Naturally, in my work, I'm focused on the church and the formation of the church. And I think my most recent readings are just opening my eyes more and more to things that are to happen in and through the church. And in one sense, you could say it's like, well, yeah, I did have that in seminary, so I know that, but I'm talking about going a little deeper with it. And to concretize that, with our daughter getting married, I've just been thinking about marriage, and I know what marriage is, but there is something that happens when a couple is joined in marriage. The two become one, and that's not just, those aren't just words. There is a thing that happens, and probing into that and admitting there's an element to it we can't explain, but there is nevertheless something there to know. And so I'm just giving that as an example of the things that I feel like I'm learning from the Lord about ministry. That, yeah, it started way back in college for me and seminary, but I'm learning more depths of it now, and that's where I find that exciting. And then it becomes a challenge for me on, okay, how do I share this with the it's mostly men and women that I work with.
Yeah. If people want to keep up with what you're doing, do you guys have a website? Do you have a newsletter, email? Like, what's the best way for folks to stay connected with you?
We have a newsletter that we put out. It's a little bit erratic. It's not as much as every 2 months, but that's kind of our goal. So we have a newsletter. We'd be happy to put email addresses on that, or the church email address on our list if it isn't already coming there. We also have an Africa Free Methodist World Missions page, apart from the denominational missions website. So that is fmwmafrica.org. And our Africa leaders weekly, well, at least 2 will submit a story each week, and they get posted there on the blog. So you get current news from Africa Ministry right on that website.
Excellent.
fmwmafrica.org.
Well, thank you guys both so much for taking the time to meet and share. And I'm excited for whatever it is that God is doing in the church, and that there are some good, faithful people like yourselves doing